You're my first guest. This is Jess.
Hi.
Hi, Jess. Hi. So we're on the first episode with a friend.
Yes.
You're my first. You're breaking the seal.
No big deal. No pressure.
No pressure for pregnancy. Pain sucks.
Okay. Yes. I wouldn't personally know, but I've definitely heard a lot of stories.
Yes. But I chose you because the most important thing, I think, is a relationship with yourself.
Yes.
So that's why I brought you on. Plus, I love you. I've been on Jess's podcast twice.
And you spoke at my event.
Yes, and she tried to auction me off for dating.
It was to raise money. I think it's an important thing.
I didn't raise that much, unfortunately. Nobody wanted to date me. But today we're talking about the relationship that you have with yourself.
Yes.
And how to establish that. And the biggest thing, I'm a pregnancy chiropractor, so I talk about pain. But if you're in pain and you can't generate support for yourself, you were the first person I thought of that's your whole life's mission. So you want to talk a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, of course. So my business is called Journey to Yourself. My mindset is that we have to take that accountability and to be there for ourselves. You know, it's very easy to want others to show up for us, right? So we've all had a life story. We've all been through pain. And so how do we bring it back to us? Because sometimes we go, oh, if he just bought me flowers and if he just took me on these dates, then I would be happy. But at the end of the day, it's like, why are you not buying yourself the flowers? Why are you not taking yourself on those dates? And that's kind of where my mindset came from is, shoot, I have this control. I have this power of showing up for myself. And in that, I'm getting chills because I'm just like having flashbacks of my life. But like in that, I'm like...
and we're barefooted.
Yeah, and we're barefooted.
And you're chilled.
Get some sand in here.
Yeah.
But in that, like, you build this confidence. And it comes to this, not that, I don't need nobody, but like, you don't need to lean on that strength of other people in the way that it's a need, right? It's a comfort. When I'm going through life, I have no problem calling Dr. Brandie, but there's a power and control where I can do it on my own. I have the confidence of figuring it out. And to make it simple, if I get lost, which I'm a queen at getting lost, queen over here. And it's like, okay, well, Jess, you're going to figure it out. So it's giving yourself that confidence, but it's also giving the confidence of who I can trust when I'm in those moments.
So I've known Jess since she was a teenager.
Preteen,
I know, before you were wearing a bra.
I think so.
And I've known you a long time, and just to watch we've evolved, right?
Yeah.
Even me being 51, you've watched me change, I've watched you change, and it's like such a beautiful process. But I think we talked about on your first podcast, I didn't love myself. And when people would say like, hey, you need to love yourself before you let other people love, I didn't know myself. And going through pregnancies, like you're saying, when you're isolated and alone, how do you generate that? So my new book that's coming out this week is about partners. And that doesn't mean necessarily it's a male partner. But what's funny is I did a video last week where I asked men traditionally how they supported their wives or girlfriends when they were going through pregnancy. And do you know what the number one answers were?
Oh my God, what? Taking out the trash.
Taking out the trash.
Stop, really?
Yeah. Changing the cat litter, going to get them ice cream. That's where men's heads are at. Yeah. And I think to defend them, there's not, they're changing, right? They don't know what to do. And when you don't know what to do, you feel incompetent. That makes you feel frustrated. For sure. So that's why, even as a chiropractor, I wanted to speak to that of how they could actually help, practical ways that they could help. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about first.
Yeah.
Is kind of like ties into what you say. If you don't know what to do, so how can partners really show up? So we'll talk about that first, of how can they show up to be a support system? What does that mean? Does it mean taking out the cat litter, Jess?
Listen, those are great things.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to disqualify them because, like, when I come home, the trash taken out, the dishes are done. Like, I definitely feel a sense of relief.
Everybody needs a wife.
I mean, so I don't want to say like don't do those things, but I want to make sure that part is really clear. Like, yes, those things do help, but there's another layer, and I think we really miss that. But I think the thing is too, it has to start with that individual. And so when I tell people, oh, I want my partner to, I'll give an example of one of my clients. So they're married, they have a kid, newborn, maybe just turned a year old. And she's coming home from work and she's feeling frustrated because, she's like, he makes dinner and he puts the dishes away, but the counters aren't done, right? And she's like, I said, okay, what do you hear or what do you see when you come home and there's no counters done? Well, it comes out like, well, he's not making dinner for her as well. And so she's coming home now cleaning and hungry. So there's so many different layers that come from it. So I think when they're having that conversation, it's asking them, what do you see when I just take out the trash? What do you see when I'm asking you what kind of ice cream you want, right? So, or what do you hear? And I think having the next layer conversation is very clear. It needs to be clear because I think they're like, well, I'm helping.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean I'm helping? Which they are. And I think to like the woman, it could be frustrating. So like, yes, I'm grateful that you are taking out the trash, but I need more help because we have more responsibilities. I'm going through more things. I'm going through more hormones. I'm going through pain. I'm going through confusion. I'm going through all the things. And so that, I don't want to call it basic, but that basic level needs to be the next level in moments like that.
Right. And I think that's where their head is at, is the practical. Men are very practical.
Yes.
They're also emotional. They deny that, but there's a practicality where it's just doing instead of being.
Yeah.
And I think how they show up in those moments is so important. Right now, there's a lot of buzz with mental load. And when I was in college of talking about the second shift of like that's the practical aspect, but the mental load that women take on traditionally of worrying about all the things and coordinating all, like I literally ran our entire life. Anything to do with our kids, anything to do with the business, anything to do with work, anything to do with us. I had to plan, execute, think of, and that's what ties your brain up a lot.
For sure.
So it's just, if you could speak to that heaviness of feeling salty that you're carrying all of that and your partner doesn't see how bad you're struggling, that just compounds and adds to it. Yeah. So what are some practical ways that you could step up without adding to your partner's load, in terms of like, if a man traditionally sees that his partner's getting salty or frustrated with them and he doesn't understand, what are some practical ways that he can approach the situation to get on the same page?
So I think there's a couple things that happen here because each person's going to be a little bit different, right? Like I want the dishes done a certain way. I don't care what the laundry looks like, but so it's going to be different situations with that. So again, I think it just goes back to that conversation of like, what do I want? I think the first thing is women stop doing it all. Like just stop doing it all. You can't do it all, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with you not doing it all. But this is what happens. If I am the person that always does the dishes, that always takes care of the babies, that gets up every night, that does all these things, I have now created a habit.
So you taught somebody how to treat you.
Thank you. That is exactly where I'm going.
I've learned a lot from my divorce.
Yeah. But like you have now, and I don't mean this as like this is all your fault, because it's not.
It's both people.
It is definitely both people.
It's a system, right?
It's a system, 100%. But this is the thing, going back to what I said in the beginning, my job is to create accountability. So what is it that I'm doing? Because I can say and do all the things, but that healing process or that figuring out process has to be on them.
Right.
But I'm in charge of what habits are being created. So for example, if I'm the one that's getting up every night, if I'm the one that is planning everything, then don't. Because this is the thing. What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
What's the worst that's going to happen?
What is the worst that's going to happen?
Yep.
And then you're going to have that conversation with like, hey, I need you to do this. And if they don't do X, Y, Z, then they don't do X, Y, Z. You definitely have other things to be doing. So it's also realizing that, one, creating the habit, and also going, not everything's a priority.
Yeah. And everything doesn't have to be perfect. I think being a boss, I hate that word, but like I had to realize that 80%, if 80% of it is good and someone else did it, then be happy about it. It doesn't have to, we're so trained that we have to be perfect. We have to look perfect. That's why I wanted to do this podcast with no shoes on and my comfiest clothes, but like, just get it done. Just like tag it, get it done the best that you can. But the biggest thing, like, just to be honest, that like, as you said, it's not all the partners. When I went through my divorce, it wasn't all him.
Correct.
I realized what I could have done better. I could have articulated my needs. I could have set boundaries where if they crossed the boundaries to actually, I think that's the biggest point that I learned, is that it was my fault, because when I set a boundary and they walked all over it, I let them. And so letting them sometimes means let them face the consequences of my favorite phrase of FAAFO, which I can't say on this podcast, but like let them F around and find out what the consequences. And I think stealing consequences from people steals their ability to feel what that feels like, and then you're just getting more and more resentful. Because the biggest thing when I was getting therapy with our separation and all that stuff, it's called weaponized incompetence, where I would be starving at work and I would say, hey, can you just, I would get salty and I wouldn't even say, hey, get me lunch. And he would finally get really frustrated with me and say, what do you need? And I would say, can you get me lunch? I haven't eaten all day. And he would go to Wawa and say, there's too many choices. So he would leave without a sandwich because there was too many choices, because I had to make him a list or walk him through and stop my day and walk him through 40 steps. So it almost became more difficult to give him a task than to actually get that. Like, it wasn't helpful at that point. Yeah. So can you speak a little bit to weaponizing competence or creating more mental load instead of sitting down and saying, like, hey, like, would have been helpful for me is to sit down and say, hey, these are 7 meals I like at Wawa. Like, take your pick. Do you know what I'm saying? Or having these lists so that doesn't irritate you. So that, what are some other practical tips of, if you notice that your partner's playing dumb, like the old, like, your handwriting's better, you take notes. I love that in business. You take notes because your handwriting is better. Which is insulting, right? Like, yeah. You don't want to create more work for somebody that you love. If you really love somebody, you really, and I think that's the biggest thing I've learned in dating is I wanted a partner that made my life easier, because I'm used to being hyper vigilant and doing everything myself. So talked a little bit about how we were raised. You were raised by a very strong woman, very strong single, right? At the time she was single, she really had to do it all herself. And I think that created daughters who saw their mother doing that, saw them not getting support, and just thought, that's the way it is. You know, that's the way we need, I just need to do it myself, and I'm not going to expect anything from any man. Yeah. Because the way, what I've learned, the way that you were asking, that was my control, and my responsibility in it was to ask in a way that had consequences, right? So if you're at that point where you're really frustrated, how would you approach that situation to have a soft conversation so that the partner doesn't feel like you're attacking them?
Well, this is so good. So there's a couple things that you were saying, right? So one, I should have brought notebooks so I didn't miss anything.
We got it on tape. On video. It's not a tape. It's a phone.
Is it a VHS?
Shut up, Jess. 8-track. That's my level. 1973.
What was it going to... Cool. Okay, so coming back to
bring it back.
So whatchamacallit? Okay, so a couple of things that's happening here, right? So when the guy, you're like, hey, go pick me up something, to eat, and he's like, oh my god, there's so many different things. Yeah. There's a couple of things that one could be going through his mind again. We're gonna play devil's advocate here,
play it up.
Play devil's advocate here, right? And one of the things that could be going through his mind is like, oh, I don't know what's gonna make her happy, because what if I bring back the wrong thing and now we get in an argument? Because we probably got in arguments before about me not bringing back the right thing. Right?
I feel attacked. No, I'm joking.
Right, so these are things that are going to go through people's
That might have happened.
That might have happened. Again, devil's advocate over here. I could be wrong.
I love you, Jess. I can take it.
And then my mindset too, and then for your part is like, okay, if you want lunch, we mostly know what we want, or at least what we don't want. So, I mean, if anything, if there's that moment where you're going, I just don't know what I want, I'm so hungry. Yeah. You know what you don't want. Yeah. And you know what you're not craving. Like, if you're like bloated that day, or, if you have a migraine, if you're just like, I don't want the salty, whatever. Hey, grab me something. I just can't have anything that's too salty today. Yeah. Or I can't have any, I don't want a hoagie. If there's something like a salad, I'll take one of those. Right? So.
Suddenly, never.
Never.
It's always good. Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A never disappoints. Never. I'm not paid to advertise for Chick-fil-A, but like literally anything off the menu of Chick-fil-A. Sponsorship, Chick-fil-A, my pleasure.
But even if you said that, like, nothing can never go wrong with a Chick-fil-A.
Yep.
And so then if he goes to Wawa and gets you a fried chicken sandwich instead of Chick-fil-A.
Dude, it's not Chick-fil-A. Let's be real. Sorry, I love Wawa too.
Sorry, Wawa.
Yeah. Love you, Wawa.
But like to your point then too, so even going back to what I said in the beginning, what if it had started an argument? Yeah. If he got you a fried chicken sandwich from Wawa and not Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But then
you should look at the effort. You should look at the intent.
You should look at the effort.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then my point, so if I'm talking, so say he bought you the Chick-fil-A or the fried chicken sandwich from Wawa, and I'm like, Jess, well, he made me so frustrated. My question for you is like, what did you hear or see him doing when he got you the fried chicken instead of that? Most likely you're going to say, well, he was being lazy. He was trying to do something that was more convenient for him.
Are you in my mind? You're a psychic on top of being a motivating speaker.
Sometimes I'm good at what I do.
Yes. You are.
But you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, so it's going back to that. And that's on you to say, when he comes back, he's like, fried chicken sandwich from Wawa, didn't go to Chick-fil-A. What I see you doing is, in my eyes, I saw you doing something that's more convenient for you instead of getting what I want.
Yeah.
So then that opens the conversation. No, I just passed Wawa and Chick-fil-A's line was an hour long, which is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a client that's at 2, and I had. So then it's like we have that conversation.
Yeah.
And speaking of favorite acronyms, my favorite acronym is assume, and we all know what happens when we assume.
Yeah. That's what Daddy told me. It's so true.
So again, it's asking yourself that accountability.
Mm-hmm.
What do I see him doing when he says?
Mm-hmm.
What do I hear him doing when he says it's too long of a list?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, he thinks he's busier than I'm busy, and I'm busy, and right.
When people do the best that they can.
We're all just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. If you're both trying, if you're both invested, it's when you're not. I think that's when relationships should end.
Yeah.
Have to end because
when they're both not.
When they're both not trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be hard times.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I tell people this.
I'm not easy to live with. I don't think you're easy to live with. Too. You're a firecracker, and I love that about you.
It's not even just. We're gonna go personal real quick.
Yeah, we always go personal. We're barefooted. Yeah.
It's not.
But we're not pregnant. We're gonna zip that out.
I'm not, right? And that's the thing. Mm-hmm. Listen, I think I'm fabulous. I'm a firecracker. I'm funny. I will say all that. Yeah. But I'm a hot mess.
Yeah, me too.
You see
those? That's why
you're
here.
See those
I love
memes.
That, you're real. You're the Hot Mess Express. Me too. Toot toot.
We're riding today. You see those memes or TikToks, Reels, whatever you're on, and it's like, my husband left the cabinet drawer open. My husband left the drawer, whatever, open. I'm the husband. I am the husband. Yeah. I walk back in the kitchen, and my husband will be like, "What did you just do?"
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I just wasn't
thinking. I was in there.
Yeah.
This is the funniest story. He was. This is the point where he's like, "Babe, sometimes you leave stuff on and it gets me frustrated." Like a good, healthy conversation, feistiness goes, "I don't do that. That's not me."
Yeah.
But okay, babe. In this conversation, promise you, I just got done brushing my teeth. Why is the water still running?
It's me.
Because that's me.
That's me.
So it's like we also have to remember.
Nobody's perfect.
We are all just doing it. You know?
A real person is not perfect. And a perfect person isn't real. That's my favorite quote from Jolene Jaworski. I love that. Because neither of us are perfect, but we're awesomely fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. That should be our episode. Neither one of us are perfect, but we're awesomely fabulous.
We are, yeah. We're alive. We have batteries included, but yeah. So I want to switch gears and get a little serious.
Let's do it.
So there's a reason we both do what we do, right? And for me, as much as I'm not like a girly girl, pregnancy was such a gateway for me of feeling like a woman, because I was a tomboy, and it's I really wanted that to be a safe place because I'm such a control freak, and I think pregnancy is one of the best ways to cure that, because so much goes off the rails. But if you have a partner that cannot show up for you, or does not want to show up for you, or culturally cannot show up for you, or that's not, I go back to that people do the best that they can, and I'm realizing from my experience what they see is the best that they can do. They can't just generate this knowledge. It's new for them, which is why I wrote the partner book. So I have more grace looking. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't help the hurt feelings of not being supported at that time, and I think I wouldn't be where I'm at. So there's a positive of turning pain into power.
Yeah.
But how do you generate that? There was a TikTok about 2 weeks ago that came out with a woman who got a pregnancy test, and her partner was stone-faced, wasn't excited, and that was my experience where I was told, we'll deal with this. Or if I was excited about the size of the baby, he would say, it's not a real thing. It's not a real baby. It's not real yet. And it wasn't real to him. I had to realize that. So in those moments where you are changing, you don't feel good, you're facing maybe financial challenges because you're unable to work, which is why I do what I do now. How can you be your own hype squad in those moments of having zero support and almost having where you feel like you did something wrong by getting pregnant? You've taxed the family, you've cost them money. For me, I couldn't work. So you feel useless. and you feel broken and you don't feel like yourself, and then the person that is supposed to be your partner and be your safe place is not. How do you show up for yourself? I just went
Sorry.
there. We went.
You did. I'm like feeling the arms getting
That's
chills
what I do.
again.
But that's why I do what I
This is
do, because
real.
there's so many women out there, and it's what I'm trying to say is it's not. Now that I'm 51, I realize for a while I grieved that. Like for about a good year, that was the big grief point. Is like you could what you focus on is real. So for me, if I focus on the support I didn't have instead of the two amazing kids I got out of that and how I grew and how that inspired me, how you frame stuff is really important. But if we could speak to that woman, Brandie, who was either 24 or 34 at the time, who had zero support. The second time was supposed to be the better time, that he was going to do it better, and he couldn't. And I have grace that he couldn't do that. How would you help me if I was your client? Show up for myself when you feel completely scared and alone.
Girl. Oh, is it just water in these?
Yeah, it's just water.
Oh,
I got I came, I saw. I just made it awkward, but let's go there.
No, it's not even awkward. I think it's just so real, and
it's deep.
It's deep.
People don't talk about this.
No,
that's why I want to go there, and I'm willing to expose. As I said, I have no bad feelings about my ex-husband. He did the best that he could.
Sure.
And I made mistakes. So how could I have done things better? I want to help women out there. So talk to a woman that has no support.
Yes, and I think so. There's a couple of things that you mentioned, right? Like, what am I focusing on? Mm-hmm. And in those moments when we're feeling low, when we're feeling alone, when we're feeling, I call it my bathroom floor moment. I remember when I was at my lowest. I would never wish my lowest on anybody. And I remember locking myself in the bathroom and laying on the bathroom floor because I was like, I
can't do this.
I can't do this. And I wasn't feeling. I was so numb that like laying on the bathroom floor was the only time I felt. And so long. And I was just like weirdly happy that I felt something, And so
I always have a comical moment that you're like, oh my God, I'm laying on the bathroom floor and there's pee on the floor. Like, why am I laying on the bathroom floor? This is so disgusting. Do you have that moment where you're just like,
looking back, 100%, because I'm super
there's other places you could lay, but you're laying where you go to the bathroom. But like that's where my mind goes when I finally like associate myself to dissociate. You're like, oh my God, I gotta get off this floor. This is like a dirty place.
When's the last time
I cleaned behind the toilet?
Knowing how sad I was, and
you probably weren't there.
There wasn't.
But
well, my point is,
who
knows the last time I did clean that?
But I've been there, done that on the bathroom floor. Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah.
There's just something about it. So going back to like you said,
it's a low point. It's the lowest you can be. You're where you go to the bathroom. Seriously, you're laying in the dirtiest part of your house on a cold floor, which is uncomfortable, right? Just crying. Like that's where you've reached the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been there lots of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my whole point is like thinking about what she was not getting, right? So that like, bringing it back to like you were saying, like, what is that girl not getting?
Talk to me if I'm her.
Yeah.
I don't have wrinkles and my body's a lot less saggy. I'm 34 years old and I don't have any support and I'm just sad. I'm just like depressed because this is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought I would get support this time.
Yeah.
So what would you tell me to do?
I would think I would ask them going, what is it that you can do? And I think
bond with your baby, right? You can bond with that baby.
And maybe that's even hard.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, and I think Mel Robbins says the best. What can I do in that 5 seconds, right? Yeah. If I count down to 5, what can I do?
I love her. I love her.
So
Girl, she's real too. She'd be here with her bare feet with us right now.
Would.
Yeah, she would.
But like thinking about that, I think sometimes you're like, oh, just go for a run. Go. It's
too
not
much.
Real. So what is it can I do? Yeah. Can I just brush my teeth today?
Yeah.
Can you brush your teeth today?
Yeah.
And ask yourself that. Can I do that?
Or do something loving for, like, about 2 months ago, I was depressed because I broke my heel, because tennis was my joy. Yeah. It's like, can I work out in this song? I'm going to pick the happiest song that's going to jazz me up. Can I take 3 minutes to listen to some Chappell Roan and get my groove on? Like, it's just little things.
You got to make it little. And I remember when I was going through my healing process, and this was the stuff that she told me to do too. She goes, what is that little thing? And I remember, like,
it brings you joy.
What brings you joy? But also, I think for me, like, I felt, because I was on the bathroom floor,
Yeah.
I felt disgusting too. So even if it is,
Isn't it funny though that the analogy of that, like just talking to you about that, like how you put yourself in the most disgusting place because that's how you feel.
yeah,
Like you feel that low.
you feel that low, but you're also, that's your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because you feel disgusted, you
Yeah.
feel unloved, you feel unworthy, you feel
So you
right.
feel like you belong there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like to your point, bonding with, in my mind, and I could be wrong, maybe at your 34 this is different, but I feel like in my mind at that bathroom floor level, bonding with my baby or having music was way too hard.
It was so complicated because I was losing her. I almost lost her. I knew you at the time, and so I couldn't work, so I couldn't bring value, so I couldn't pay my mortgage, I couldn't feed Allie, and you feel like it wasn't that I resented the baby, but you're in this choice of like, I need to work, and I hate myself for that. I hate that I'm in this situation, and I hate that I'm even considering working when they told me that would potentially hurt. Like it's such a screwed up situation to be in that I didn't know what to do with I didn't even know how to, like you're numb. You just like, you almost dissociate because it's such a tough choice to choose between the baby you're carrying and the responsibilities you have in your life.
I don't think that mindset ever leaves as a mom.
Yeah.
I think you always have to have that battle. I think that battle always with you. Like I think there's responsibilities because there's always responsibilities, but my baby's always right
Do
here.
the best you can. And I think that having grace with yourself.
Yeah, and I think so. Going back to a couple of things, I feel like I want to make sure I'm answering all the questions. So one, thinking about what you can do. If I can just get off the bathroom floor, what can I do next? So do it in those steps. What is it that I can do right now? I can at least feed my baby. I can at least have the rattle. I can at least and realize that those little steps are what gets you to the big steps. And I think don't overlook the middle, like the small steps. If it's just brushing your teeth today, so you can kiss your baby and feel good about it. If it's just let me watch a movie all day with my baby, what can I do?
Right.
And eventually,
babying yourself. I think sometimes you have to return to like actually thinking in my childhood of like who babied me and how that fed my soul. Yes. When I first got separated, I made the hell yes list. I think we talked about that.
We sure did.
And only 2 things brought me joy, which was Longwood Gardens and Barnes and Noble.
Yes.
And my kids. Like that was it at that point. So like how do you feed more into stopping what's draining your batteries and what feeds your batteries? And right now with this whole new life that I have, I see it like a coat. Like you put it on and you're like, do I like this? Does it feel good? Am I like, how's my energy when I'm done with it? And if I don't like it, I just take it off and do something else. I think that's trying new things because life is different for you right now because you're pregnant. So there's a lot you can do while you're pregnant. So I think that that's important to see what you can. Again, reframing stuff.
Yes. And I think the other thing I want to mention too is staying solution focused. So going back to a couple of stories we talked about before, we talked about like maybe the partner's not supportive and so I want to make sure we're covering everything in that sense of staying solution focused. So the problem, me focusing that my husband isn't showing up for me, the problem is that my mom is too far away. The problem is that my kid doesn't sleep at night. What are some solutions?
Right.
Now they're not always going to work, but what are some solutions I can try? Solutions I can do? Again, staying solution focused goes back to what we were just saying in the beginning. What is it that I can do? We get very stuck. Well, I can't pay my mortgage and I can't do. You're right. Listen, we've been there. I've been homeless. I've been there, right? So it's just like that stuff makes sense to me, but it's focusing on what I can do. What I could do when I was at the lowest point was 1, move out. 2, I had someone else take care of my dogs, and 3, I couch surf.
You do what you do. Yeah.
You figure it out. And I think what happens when you stay solution focused, 1, again, building that confidence. 2, you just talked about that energy. And I think when we talk about in the beginning, you're talking about that support system. Yes, you're giving yourself good energy by building confidence. But when I am doing these things, when I'm staying solution focused, when I am doing the baby things, when I'm building those little things that help my confidence and just doing what I can, I start to realize the other energy people bring me.
Yes. And the energy comes from when you're saying my husband's not supporting me, you're not supporting. You have to realize you're not loving you. Yeah. You're not supporting. And that's fully within your control to love yourself and your partner can't be, for me, I think I thought he was supposed to be it. I wasn't supporting myself either. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
it's such, so I think owning that energy of making that applies to anything. If you're unhappy with your life, you're the only person that can make yourself happy. Like that's the
100%.
biggest thing I learned. I don't look for other people to make me happy. I can control my energy and what I bring to that relationship, and that also alters a relationship when you start taking care of yourself. I think a lot of times women get resentful, and that changes their energetic level of how what they bring, and their partner's hackles go up because they feel attacked, they feel blamed for partially that being us projecting our needs on our partners instead of filling our own cup.
There's so many things you just said
I
here.
always do.
I really wish I could just like I was like my client.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's start from what we start. Couple things that you're saying too. So one, filling your own cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
We hear it all the time. Fill your own cup. Fill your own vase. Whatever makes the most sense in your brain with that. Water your own garden. I don't care how it sits in your head. But I have to take that accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Again, going back, I'm getting frustrated that he's not taking me on dates. He's not buying me flowers. Go take yourself out.
Yeah.
Right?
And he'll see you doing that, and you'll be happier because you're taking care of yourself instead of sitting home and nagging him or wondering what he's doing. Take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself. And I think you also just made me think of too, there's things that we tend to do. We're like, especially nowadays. So I'm so sorry for people that are growing up in this age. Is that like you see things online? They're going, oh, he has the perfect life.
They thought I had the perfect marriage. Everyone thought I had the perfect marriage.
Yeah.
So you don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
You don't know what's going on behind that white picket fence.
Yeah.
You don't know. So one, the biggest thing is stop comparing and let go of control. Do you?
Let them. All these TikTok things.
Let them. That is, girl, if I could get it tattooed,
I love
would be...
TikTok is the best therapy for me. Honest to God, between the recipes and the lumberjacks, I'm like living.
The lumberjack ones.
I'm living for that.
Yeah. Okay, rewind.
True story.
Well, so that going back to what I just ended too, with like it's in your control. Realizing what you have control of. Even something so much like a TikTok, right? You're like, oh, it's so sad. There's all this true.
That's what they attract.
That's what they attract.
But like when my TikTok when I'm sad, I get like psychics and like the weird narcissist. Like I don't want that to be when I first got on TikTok during COVID, everyone was dying. Everyone my age was dying. That was what I saw. Whereas people I worked with had really fun dances, and like it's amazing how that you attract what you are. It's not just like Siri or Alexa like listening to what you're talking about and targeting with ads. What you see is what you attract.
Exactly.
So go looking for the good stuff.
Yeah.
Go look at puppy videos.
Oh my God, I know. Lumberjack videos.
Videos.
Just saying, ladies, no big deal. They're just cutting wood, by the way.
Just cutting wood with metaphors and sweatiness. Yeah.
Okay. I just came back from Georgia, so I'm thinking about all the dancers that do like the line dancing.
I'm like all the flannel and those
the
jeans.
boots.
Yeah, it's the jeans. Yeah.
Okay.
I love being single.
So anyway,
I digress. See, you can find joy in that. That's my sense of joy.
But I think coming back is like what you bring to yourself is what you attract, right? So going back to that low moment, when I was in my low moment, I was attracting people that just wanted to party and not think about their life. I jumped on that bandwagon. We're not going to think about our life.
Yeah.
We're not going to think about our struggles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me do it. But then there comes a point where it's just like, that's not what I want anymore. And this is the thing. It does not make those people bad people. If that's how they're dealing with it, that's how it is. We're not saying anybody's a bad person, but if it's not how you want to deal with it, and you want to have a different algorithm in your life, that is on you.
Yeah, that's what I did with dating is I kept attracting the same selfish, arrogant, very successful men that were very cold and emotionally unavailable. So I finally had to say, like, I feel like I'm in like a department store and I am in the basement. And I need to I need to get in the elevator and raise myself.
I change your room.
And it's not even about weight or anything like that. I need to get happy at another vibrational level to attract what I want. And I did that, like something totally different.
Yeah.
But it's what I wanted instead of what I was attracting. It's the honing, of what I was attracting. So I think the same applies.
Yeah, you're attracting what you think you deserve. I deserve these kind
of... Damn, sis.
Yeah. So that again, but that's on you.
And it worked. That's what I'm saying. Like, if I could sit there and just say, "Hey, this is like a toxic dumpster fire," that's what I was attracting. That's what I
Yeah.
expected. That's the boundaries I set up.
That was on me.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
on me. And this is the thing. This is not a beat up session of saying, well, that was all on you. You did it.
No, I hope people get from this session, it's all you, sis. Yeah. And it's not a blame thing. It's you have
No.
control and you can change you have the power to change yourself. And that's why with my courses and stuff, I'm giving you the tools to help with the pain of pregnancy. I'm not a psychologist, but I can help you get out of pain and feel really good, which will help your mental state and your mission in life. We're going to close with that and then ask you a crazy question.
Okay.
Is that's what you do for people? Give them the tools, right?
Yeah.
To help them. You're not help when you go in to talk to people. You're not giving them tools of how to help. You help employers, but it's mainly focused on how to help that person individually navigate stuff. Just like I'm tailoring programs to women to help them with individual things that they can help themselves with, to empower them so that they can make great changes and you have a journey to themselves.
Yes.
Yes, girl, yes.
Well, before you ask me a question, let me just finish this. Oh shoot, what was I gonna say? Rewind 1 second. Oh, this is the part. So yes, you attract what you deserve, but we're talking about the control. And again, we're not trying to like smack Tushies around and like beat you up over here. But this is the cool part.
Mm-hmm.
I have control to change it. Right? Like you were just saying, I have the empowerment, I have these tools, I have these things. And this is my biggest thing with like what I teach. I know we'll get into in a second, is that we have so many of the tools already here.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I have journals, I have the things too. But we have so much of the stuff here that you don't have to buy the next app. You don't have to buy the next course because you have so much here. And my saying that is that like, yes, go surround yourself with people that have the healthy courses, that have the books, and obviously you're dropping your book, listen to the podcast. But remember, it's not because you don't have the tools. It's just because you have to undiscover. Just open the toolbox and dig around. It's in there. But we tend to keep that toolbox locked. And like, that's my thing, is that we attract, like you said, what we deserve, we think we deserve, which is the cool part because we get to change that.
Yeah, sometimes the tool will come back and it fits. You're not ready for the tool yet, and then you are.
always
And then
need
the
a
door
hammer.
opens, and you have a new awareness and a perspective.
It's the coolest thing.
All right, favorite quote.
Okay. Oh, my favorite quote. Maya Angelou. Well, first it's my quote that I create.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Drink the coffee while it's hot.
Yes, mine's cold right now. That's terrible.
Meaning, make the time for you.
Ooh.
It's 1 to 2 minutes before that coffee gets cold. It's 1 to 2 minutes to sit with yourself. No social media, outside, whatever. Just sit with your cup of coffee. 1 to 2 minutes. So drink the coffee while it's hot. Yeah, that's my quote.
I love you so much.
But my other favorite quote it's from Maya Angelou. It's not how other people. It's not, what is it saying? It's not what they said or did. It's how they make you feel.
Yes.
It's
energy.
Yeah.
It's all about energy and love. So thank you for being, I love you.
I love you.
And thank you for being my first podcast guest on Pregnancy Pain Sucks. This people might think has nothing to do with what we do, but if you don't get your mind straight and how you see it, we're trying to empower you to have a better experience so you enjoy it more.
Yes.
Yep.
You're amazing.
Thank you.